You ever wonder how a huge company decides, yep, this is the product we're going to launch, or let's open a new store right here? Well, it's not just a lucky guess. Today, we're jumping into the world of marketing research. It's the tool that helps businesses swap out those risky hunches for some seriously smart decisions.
Just imagine for a second, you're the boss. You've got to make a $1 million call that could literally define your company's entire year. Are you really going to bet it all on just a gut feeling? That's a massive gamble, right? And that's exactly the kind of high-stakes problem that marketing research is here to solve.
And yeah, this quote just nails it. The whole point is to bring the risk level way, way down. It's about building a solid bridge of actual data between what a company thinks people want and what they actually want.
So what is this thing officially? Well, it's the function that connects the customer to the company through information. The two big words you got to remember here are systematic and objective. This isn't random guesswork. It's a structured, unbiased process for listening to what's going on out there and turning all that noise into clear, actionable ideas.
Okay, so how do researchers actually uncover these golden insights? You can think of it like detective work, really. And every good detective needs a toolkit. In this world, the toolkit starts with two basic kinds of data.
And right away, you see the fundamental choice every researcher has to make. On one side, you have secondary data. This is stuff that's already out there. Think census data, old sales reports, articles. It's super fast and cheap to get. On the other side is primary data. This is brand new information you go out and collect yourself, maybe with a survey or a focus group. It takes way more time and money, but it's perfectly tailored to answer your exact question.
And because of that difference in cost and effort, there's a really logical way to do this. You always start with secondary data. Always. I mean, why would you spend a fortune on a new custom survey if a free report online already has your answer? You only move on to the expensive primary data collection when you've exhausted what's out there and you still have questions.
So collecting all this data is one thing, but turning a pile of numbers into a smart business decision, well, that's the real magic, isn't it? How does that actually happen?
This is where something called a decision support system, or DSS, comes into play. You can think of it as the engine that makes all that raw data useful. It's basically an interactive system that lets a manager slice and dice the information, look for patterns, and ask all sorts of what-if questions to get answers on the fly.
Let me give you a perfect, real-world example. A sporting goods store uses its DSS to look at what people are buying with their loyalty cards. The system flags an insight, hey, people buying tennis rackets also tend to buy high-end clothes. Boom. That insight leads to a decision. Let's move the expensive apparel right next to the tennis gear. And that decision sparks a promotion to tie them together. See that flow? Insight to decision to action.
And listen, this isn't just for giant retailers. Think about your local hair salon. When they type in your phone number and pull up your past haircuts and color formulas to get your style just right, guess what? That's a decision support system. It's helping the stylist make a better, more personalized decision for you.
Now, with all this data and these powerful computer systems, it's pretty tempting to think we can just let the numbers run the show. But that would be a huge mistake. The data is a tool, a guide. It's not the dictator. The human element is still absolutely essential.
So let's be super clear about this. Marketing research is an input. It's one piece of the puzzle. The final call always comes down to a human manager who brings their own experience, their own intuition, and their own judgment to the table. The research informs the decision, it doesn't make the decision. And there's a really, really good reason for that.
Let me ask you a question, and be honest. Have you ever been filling out a survey and maybe, bent the truth just a little bit? Maybe you said you go to the gym more than you actually do, or that you read more classic literature. Yeah, pretty much everyone has. And this creates a massive challenge for researchers.
It has a name, it's called response bias. It's this tendency we have to give answers that make us look good, or smart, or socially acceptable, instead of what's actually true. We don't want to seem ignorant, so we give the answer we think the person asking wants to hear.
To see how wild this can get, check out this classic example. Researchers ran a study about athletic shoes. They asked people to rate how they felt about a few big brands. You know the ones, Nike, Adidas, the usual suspects, and a brand they included called Pontre.
And here's the kicker. Pontre is not a real brand. It doesn't exist. They completely made it up. But people in the study still gave it a rating. They offered an opinion on something that was totally fake, probably because they didn't want to admit they'd never heard of it. It's a perfect, almost hilarious example of why you can't always take data at face value.
And that brings us full circle.
This is exactly why a manager's experience and common sense are irreplaceable. Data can be weird, people can be biased. You need a human being to look at the ratings for a fake brand like Pawntry and have the wisdom to say, hang on a second, something isn't right here.
So who are these detectives behind the data? Well, the field of marketing research is a whole profession in itself. It's a career built on curiosity and critical thinking, and it's governed by a really strict ethical code. And get this, it's growing like crazy.
How crazy! The demand for market research analysts is expected to grow by a whopping 18%.
And just to put that number in perspective for you, that 18% is more than 4 times faster than the average for all other jobs. It makes sense, right? In a world that runs on data, the people who know how to find it and figure out what it means are more valuable than ever.
And because researchers are dealing with people's private opinions and a company's biggest secrets, the profession is held to a super high ethical standard. There are detailed codes of conduct to make sure everyone's privacy is protected, that the research is done honestly, and that the results are reported accurately. It's all about building and keeping trust.
So, to wrap it all up, let's bring it back to you. The next time you get an email with a survey or an app asks for your feedback, just take a second. Think about that fake shoe brand Pawntry. Think about that manager on the other side who's just trying to make a smart call. Your answer is one tiny but crucial piece of a giant puzzle that helps a real business make a decision based on data instead of just a hunch. So what big idea will you be a part of next?